they transferred the Lao to Taungu. That is how I got to Taungu.
But
March.
before 1950,
Uh,
where was Bauji going, and why did he get when and how he got assassinated?
Before 1940, he was in the Delta, and then later he got to the Rangoon. No, Taungu, and then Taungji. Taungji in May, I think, 1949 May. And then he came back to Taungji. He formed a government body, Kawthoolei government body. He formed in Taungu. They had the radio station, even a small one, of course, they broadcast. And insurgency was rife in areas like Pro, because some Burman battalions also, joined the insurgency, communist insurgency. And so Burma was in a mess.
What was the next step for him to leave? And on his way, where was he going?
That was later. He was trying to come to Thailand, actually, to Bangkok, to, I think, see the ambassador, the British ambassador, and explain about the current situation. Because the Karen were accused of being narrow nationalists, secessionists, and accused of starting the war. He was surrounded by the enemy on the way.
Oh, let me ask you this: so how come some people say that when he was surrounded by this, were they Karen border guards hired by Burmans?
No. It was like this. Karen villager went and informed the Burmese troop, not very far, in Cochrane.
Mm-hmm.
It's a night's march. So they came and surrounded. And first, of course, they told to surrender. They shouted, Bauji to surrender. He just resisted. He wasn't killed right away. So there was Newin's man was Sailwind at that time. He asked Rangoon what to do. Rangoon said, finish him. And he killed. He was killed like that. And that was after he laid down the principle, the revolutionary principle.
Right.
Not very long after. That is after the Papuan Congress. He laid down the 4 principles of Sawa Uji. You know about that?
Yes.
Huh?
Yep.
First is surrender is out of the question. And recognition of current state must be complete. And we shall retain our arms.
So vocabulary-wise, Karen state must be recognized. Some people say it's also Karen nation must be recognized.
No, not nation. Karen state.
But when it's state, in the definition of state for Karen is Tiko.
Yes, Tiko. State is in political science. A state means nation state. The whole country
Correct.
is a nation state.
Correct. Okay.
Something like that. But a state has, of course, in federal, you have many states.
Right.
Yeah? Like British, for example, they don't allow the Scots. They wanted to break away. But that is an island, of course.
But remember, the issue with also, to relate to this, is the British also allowed Pakistan to have their own country and India to have their own country. So wasn't the Quran's goal to also seek that type of independence?
Yes, because they believed that the Burman was 65%. The British at that time, Labour Party, who didn't know much about the Quran, was in power. And the US was pressing the British to retain the friendship of the Burman people.
But is it okay? Let me ask you this. I read a book by Harold Klein, right? On his book, I think it's about the journey of the Quran Revolution, and that is technically the Conservative Party led by Winston Churchill was going to give independence to the Karen people. But after the war, because Churchill did not get reelected, the Labour Party was elected,
Yes.
and Attlee became the prime minister, and they pushed towards the Union.
Yeah, the Karen, Churchill had a very strong sympathy for the Karen people because they had to suffer a lot during the Japanese time. When the British, about the British, there was one major Seagram, I think he was left in Papuan area. When the Japanese learned that, it was through stupidity of one Karen leader, Sampote. They learned, the Japanese learned that there are British, Force 136 there. So they torture Karen, many Karen villagers were tortured and killed, executed. The Japanese were like fascists.
After Bauji. Now, what the revolution continued. It didn't end.
And then, and of course, I was in Tongu area. We were very upset, but we have to continue.
Was it Mabazan was the next one?
No, not Mabazan. That was after that. There was a vacancy remained for some time. The KNU invited one Po'o, Ulape, but he said, "Oh, in a position to do that. He has to look after the Po'o people in Shan State." Later, of course, Mambazan. Of course, there was also some communist forces in the Delta area. And the British kept supporting, there's Niwin, all the Niwin and Unu.
Okay. This is where last time we had the conversation, sir. You said the Niwin had a coup d'etat, right, to seize military power, but he had to have been backed by somebody, and obviously it's not well stated, but in your opinion, you think it was the United States that pushed?
That will come later.
Okay.
Because there was a breakup of the AFVL party. AFVL party. And UNU and Chonye, the socialist, and UNU, the Democrat. Of course, they broke up. UNU wanted to follow the Aung San's line of making peace with all the nationalities, the ethnic nationalities, and even he will, I think, give amnesty to the communists. Because the communists is not the kind you have in Russia or China or something like that. They were more, because Burma was still a very religiously very entrenched, nation state, Christian, and the Buddhists also. Probably they won't accept communism, and partly because of that, I think UNU, after winning election in 1960, he declared Burma as a Buddhism as state religion.
He also reformed the educational system and a lot of social service industry, and he called it the Burma Way. Remember?
Oh, no, that is Niwin. Now I'm talking about UNU.
Okay.
UNU and the socialists split.
Okay.
And the socialists, of course, drum up the specter of Burma being overrun by communists and the ethnic insurgency. They accuse the ethnic of becoming communist also.
And that's where the United States came in.
That is why the United States came in. The Vietnam War was not going well. And there was a theory that, domino theory, that the whole Southeast Asia was going to be overrun by the communists. So there was panic among the policy makers, especially the Democrat Party. So it was the time of John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy.
But wasn't Kennedy supposed to withdraw from initially in his memoir? Supposedly he was supposed to withdraw his American troops from Vietnam. But then Johnson, when he became president, he increased more forces in Vietnam. But during that time, so Ne Win, I think his social program also tried to make it Burma way and try to showcase to the world that Burma was a homogeneous society.
Yeah, that is all, propaganda. False propaganda.
So
false.
For the Korean Revolution, during that time, after that process, now we got Mambazan, and we got people after Mambazan, and the resistance is still continuing.
It was like this. And I was there when Ne Win seized power. I was freshly graduated from the Rangoon University, and some current leaders. I was politically active, student politics active.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I know what is what. And so some current leaders involved in student politics also. Because Ne Win was supported by the U.S., we have to support. I said, I cannot support this, this criminal.
So, okay, let's go. Ne Win is still in charge, right? After the Vietnam War, 72.
After the Vietnam War, yes, it continued. And there was, of course, resistance, breaking up here and there. The people, the workers strike. And then the students uprising. There's, of course, Ne Win shot and killed about 100 university students. I was there.
But by now, the world, the United States and Europe already knew that ethnic people were not communist. So what then? What happened to the revolution?
The U.S., of course, and the British. Those are the principal powers, supporting the military. They thought that they could reform the military.
So at this time, though, this is where you became the co-secretary general with Batheng, right?
Oh no. But the personal assistant first. It was in 1984. When the battalion,
Right.
my unit was under siege. It was Wanka under siege. So I was helping with the refugees, more refugees coming. So I was having a refugees. And then I went to Mont Blanc. And they knew that Mont Blanc, I was politically active.
But you eventually got elected as a secretary general.
Secretary General is later, after the fall of Mont Blanc.
Okay.
It must be 1995. 1994, I think, 1994, 95, okay. Secretary. And then I became a vice president in the next election I became vice president.
But during that time, the revolution, as an elected member, leader of the KNU, what were you trying to continue with regards to the revolution and the armed resistance?
Yeah, I was continuing, serving, but they kicked me out because the Democratic Party, pressure. Clinton, when Clinton came, non-violence action, as if non-violence action would gain democracy and freedom. They said. Because they still thought that.
Right.
They could reform the Burman military. Burma Buddhism, Buddhism is a very peaceful religion. Right. You can't even kill animals.
Well, at this point, this is where we had the split up between the KNLA and the establishment.
No. No. It's the split. First, the split was. It's more like a split,
DKBA, right? That's when they was formed.
No. let us go back a little.
Okay,
You know.
go ahead.
Father, it was Musogogasa.
Mm.
That's because of after 1962, they pressure Niwen, to make peace with it. But of course, only half the Musogogasa and the crew they went there. And Linton was there. The famous one of the
Yes,
leaders.
Louisa Benson,
Yeah,
first husband.
Louisa Benson, and of course, Niwen promised everything, and the U.S. also, Niwen being their client, complaining that the
Anti-communist.
Karen were just, uh, what do you call? They have no reason to resist. They have no reason to carry on this revolution because they have given the state already. The state are not what the Karen want, Not only Karen want a bigger area, but they give only this malaria-infested area, So
So it wasn't the way the Quran thought was Kawthoolei, which included Do'u, Ainsain, Pa'am, Moramia, and Dowe.
Yeah, Kawthoolei is like that. It has to be that way. But of course, there's a change in the concept later on.